Well, welcome everyone to officially, this is our first chapter reading for the Women Thrive Inspiring True Stories book by our incredible co-authors of this book. My name is Raimonda and I'm the founder of the Women Thrive Media, as well as the initiator behind this incredible book compilation. It has been 6, 7 months since we started this project, and I'm so excited that we have been able to bring together some really inspiring and amazing women with their inspiring stories of overcoming adversity. Now, you may think that reading this book might bring you down and it's sad stories that you get to read. It's true, but actually, on the other side, there's always a light, right? On the other side of the adversity, of coming out of adversity, there is always opportunity to grow, to learn, to be inspired. And if you think about your own life, I'm sure you have been through difficult situations in your own life that perhaps at that moment in time, it felt like you were alone and you were in this unimaginable situation. And being alone is not a place where we want anyone to feel. So one of the reasons why we brought this book together is to inspire you readers, inspire the women and men perhaps who will be reading this book to know that they are not alone. And I am so grateful for the women who have come forward to be part of this amazing book, because through their bravery of sharing their story, we brought together this incredible book to life, which was once just an idea. It was once just a dream to bring together these women's stories to life. And today we have a beautiful Women Thrive book inspiring true stories of women overcoming adversity. So I hope you grab a copy of it. But today is the first official book chapter reading, and we have 8 chapter readings where you can get to connect with every single author and get to hear them reading their stories. So I want to begin with the dedication of this book. So this dedication is dedicated to you, the woman who aspires for more in life, a woman who knows that despite your pains and struggles, you are meant for more. A woman who wants to thrive and be inspired by other women rising to the power and purpose in life. For a woman who wants to become aligned, live a purposeful life, and create the freedom to be who she was created to be unapologetically you. There is a saying that says, a butterfly cannot see its own wings, but the rest of us can. So remember, you are beautiful, and while you may not see it yourself, we can. So I hope that through this book, you are inspired and motivated to see the story of your own. Maybe within the stories of reading these women's stories, you get to reflect back on the things that you have had to go through. And maybe in the moments of adversity, you didn't see your own beauty, but others could still see that. So I hope if you feel inspired by this book, feel free to share on social media, tag us and Women Thrive Media, Instagram, and use hashtag Women Thrive Book. So at Women Thrive Media, our mission is really to create a stage where every woman can have the opportunity to shine, a place where she can share her story, and by doing so, inspire others. Over the years, I have personally met thousands of women through impersonal and virtual events and in our community. And the truth is, every woman had a story to share. In our work, we have had the opportunity to spotlight close to 1,000 women across our event and different stages, podcasts. But there is still so much more to do. Because as I said, every woman has a story, and that story can inspire others. So this book is the first of many, which we hope, because writing your story in the book is so much more magical and personal than simply speaking it. The words we write on paper actually lives on forever. So we hope that this book finds a space on your bookshelf, coffee table, or library alongside other inspirational books. Something that you may not know as a reader, that the process of writing your story is healing and liberating. and is healing and liberating not only for the readers, but also for the authors themselves. We learned that the process of writing your story could become transformation in itself and create so many opportunities for growth. So through the Women Thrive book series, we hope to give as many women as possible the opportunity to write their stories in a book and inspire the world with words of encouragement. Sharing stories of overcoming adversities in life and finding a way forward to rise and thrive. And in a recent event, actually, Mary, one of the authors from Australia, said in her talk, she said, even if you don't think that you will ever be part of a book, or you ever have a dream to join a Women Thrive book or any book like this, I encourage you to start writing your chapter, because I think it's so important, and you will be so surprised that, as I said earlier, how healing the whole process is. And after speaking to all of our authors after this book has finished, what everyone said to me that this has changed their lives. There was a transformation in itself in this journey in becoming an author and sharing their story. So what we hope that our stories will continue to travel across the world, to touch people and in ways that we don't even know or imagine, to inspire, to motivate, to help other people overcome their own adversities and to feel less alone. So I hope that as a reader, you get to immerse in the book and stories that were written on these pages, as every chapter in this book was written in mind to help you thrive. This book has been written by 8 amazing women from different parts of the world, their backgrounds, life experiences, different ages, completely different backgrounds. And before this project happened, these women never knew each other before, but they all shared something in common. And that was the mission to positively impact others through the power of their stories. Some of these women that you'll get to meet through our book have never shared their powerful stories before. So this may be a very intimate experience for them to pour their hearts out to you, the reader, in hopes that will make a difference in your life. Sharing our stories of overcoming adversities and some of the darkest moments of our lives is not easy, as you can imagine. It takes a lot of courage, soul-searching, self-questioning, doubting, and in the end, bravery to speak our truth. To lay our adversities bare on the line for someone else to read and experience it requires living our stories and doing a lot of reliving our stories and doing a lot of inner healing through the process. In this book, you may not resonate with all the stories today, but the story that touches you the least today may be just what you need to hear somewhere down the road in your life. May these stories impact your life just when you need it the most. So the purpose of this book is to inspire you, the reader, to know that life comes with adversities, unexpected twists and turns, moments when you seem to have it all, and life just pulls the rug from under your feet. So we hope that this book inspires you to keep going despite these life's challenges. And how many of you can resonate with that feeling of seemingly everything is going so perfect, and all of a sudden, life just pulls a rug from under your feet and you're flat on your face. So for some, the start in life was not as fortunate, and for others have ended up in tragedy. For others, adversities happened later in life, which taught them valuable lessons and helped them find a purpose in their pain. So the authors in this book have experienced some truly trying times that nearly broke them, but in those moments of defeat, they found the strength, the courage, the awakening, the renewed purpose. These women share their stories in hopes that you won't have to feel alone in your struggles, and that you may find courage and inspiration in their bravery. As you read the pages of this book, remember this could be someone else's survival guide. So please share it with someone else, recommend it to your friends, and please leave a review on Amazon to send you thank you, or send a thank you note to any of the authors that inspired you. I promise you that is the most rewarding part of writing a book, is hearing from our readers of how our messages have impacted them. And it's the biggest blessing and a gift to have our stories out into the world, touching people's lives. As you pick up the book, the picture on the cover may remind you of the different phases of life and the different moments of transformation. There may be a phase that particularly stands out for you today, and another next time you hold this book in your hand. This book is meant to be an inspirational journey, an experience where every time you read it, there may be something new you will discover about the author, about their story, or about yourself. As you go through life's journey, you may face similar challenges, or you may have already had to overcome your own trials and found inspiration and courage to move through them. May this book be the reminder of just how strong, resilient, and capable we all are of overcoming adversities and finding the way through them to thrive. So this was the beginning and introduction of the Women Thrive book, and I hope you stick around to hear my chapter. It's interesting because the first chapter in the book, the name of it is called Starting a New Chapter. And that was my real and true story just 2 years ago. So I have the pleasure and honor to have you here today in the room or watching this on replay to hear me share my story. Because this part of the story I've never shared before. And actually, before this book was released, I was so close to never releasing this story. I didn't know who may need a story. I didn't know how this may impact. And just like many others who have been part of this process, I had a fear that we could all relate. Fear of judgment, fear of not acceptance, fear of people not receiving your story the way you intended to. So I hope you get to be inspired by my story, as it did end up making it into the book. And it's my story of overcoming adversity. I'm so glad to say that it does have a happy ending. But at the time when I was going through the lowest parts of my life, and this wasn't just the only trial I had in my life, it gave me a lot of purpose and inspiration to do what I do today. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to share this story. Even after rethinking and trying to find another story to write, which I thought would be maybe perhaps a little bit easier, I came back to this story because this was the rebirth of me, the beginning of a new chapter in my life, which I'm living right now. So here we go. Starting a new chapter. There is something really empowering about looking in the car's rearview mirror and seeing all your belongings in the back of the car, knowing that a new chapter of your life is about to begin. It was June 2021. I made a pivotal decision to leave everything I had built for the last 6 years with a man I loved, to pick up my stuff and walk out to start a new life. As I drove away from my home on that warm and sunny day, I felt a sudden release. From here on out, I was in control of my own life and my own destiny. I didn't have it all figured out, and it's far from it. I just had to trust in the path that yet to unfold, that it would become better the further I walked into it. I didn't have a place to live, nothing to call my own except for my clothes and few belongings that I have taken with me. I didn't know how I would manage on my own, and I just had to have the faith that all would actually work out. As I was driving away, it was one of my business friends who called, with whom I just chatted a few days ago, about her own messy divorce that she was going through with her narcissistic husband. And it was just a few days ago, I was giving her advice of how to handle the situation she was navigating her with her abusive and possessive ex, blissfully unaware that I would soon, very soon, be in the same position. As I picked up the phone, we greeted each other, and she said, "Wait, why do you have all these things in the back of your car? Are you going somewhere? Are you moving?" I smiled and I said, "I have something to tell you." I'm on my way to starting a new life. And I was beaming with smile and I felt more empowered than ever before. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I knew I deserved better than the lies and deceit I lived in. As she looked at me, she said, "It looks like you are the energy that is moving the car, not the other way around." And it was true. The car was filled with my stuff and actually a newfound empowerment that was moving the car forward. My energy was, "Life, I am ready for you." She said, "I wish I was as strong and determined when I left my husband. I was a total wreck." I wasn't a wreck because I was relieved to make the escape that I did, not realizing that the wreck would come further down the line, filled with pain, anger, fear, frustrations, and so much more. It was all about that moment, the sudden realization that this decision was so much bigger than me and my life. I told her that I made this leap not just for myself, but for all the other women who may be stuck in a hopeless situation at home like I was. For women who have given their power away for love and succumbed to lies, control, and deceit. For women who did not see that a better life is laid out for them if they only dared to take a leap. For all the women who deserve better. Traveling in the wrong direction. A few months before this happened, it was a pretty ordinary weekend at home. As always, I was home alone because my partner had other commitments every weekend, and that was just something we were used to. I remember walking into our bedroom and looking at the sun beaming on a perfectly made bed, my favorite picture on the wall, a dark wooden chest of drawers with the little crystals laid out on top of it. It was a peaceful and quiet afternoon, just the way I loved it. In the room were our happy memories, the smiling pictures hung by the wall, and the heart-shaped frames from our highlight moments. It all looked so perfect on the outside. We didn't lack anything. We weren't arguing. There were no real issues that felt prominent, except the underlying feeling that something was wrong. And at that moment, I had this awakening vision. And I could only describe this vision like my life was moving on a parallel road to the one I was meant to live in. As if I knew that this was not my road to be on anymore. And the longer I stayed on it, the further away I was moving from my purpose. I knew there was nothing else I could do on this path right here that would lead me to where I was supposed to be. And I felt sad. Inside, I felt empty, as one too many shattered dreams and plans that never come to fruition, making me feel hopeless in the situation that I was in. There was too many disappointments and things that did not make sense, but I was still here, hoping it would change, hoping that things somehow would work out. But time and time again, I was compromising and finding excuses for someone else, yet suffering inside myself, putting my own dreams on hold and playing the waiting game. I was waiting for something big to happen, to either to make it or break our relationship. Truth is, it was never the right time to make changes to the life that we both supposedly wanted. It was never the right time to move, to travel, to start something new, or to take a leap forward towards our goals and dreams that for all these grand plans that we have built over the years of being together. There was always some convenient excuse or reason why not now. And frankly, this was making me feel really fed up because I knew what I wanted for my life. Have you ever felt like your life was moving in a particular direction? You felt like hitting the brakes and saying, I need to get out. Or feeling so stagnant that you are just watching the clock tick and your life's destiny running away from you? Tick tock, tick tock. How long are you going to wait? What needs to happen for you to hit the brakes and restart your life? These were some thoughts that I was having inside. Maybe in your own job, maybe in your own life, it's a job that feels stale and unfulfilling. Maybe it's a relationship that's no longer feels right for you. Maybe it's a business that you've been stuck with and it feels out of alignment. However, you continue going through your daily motions, hoping for something big to happen to change. Still, over and over, you're experiencing the same feeling of being on the wrong side of the motorway, just as I was, traveling in the wrong direction. That was my life. I wanted to hit the brakes. But it seemed like I traveled this far, so maybe there is still hope at the end of at the end of it all. Perhaps somehow we will still reach our destination. In the end, we've been together for 6 years and built all these grand plans that were just not going anywhere. I know that was my wishful thinking as perpetual optimist. And the further I moved, the more I realized that this was not the road I should remain on. Whilst the road I was on did not lack mutual love and support and material things, it lacked the open, honest truth and commitment. It was mainly built on control, manipulation, and selective truth to keep me at bay. After 6 years of living together, there was simply no progress in our lives, and I was at my crossroads. At that moment, I knew, even if tomorrow everything in our current situation changed to how I dreamt that one day it would be, I knew it just a matter of time before the bubble burst and everything would fall apart. In control of your own destiny. I realized that if I wanted anything to change, I had to take a leap of faith. No matter how uncertain, scary, uncomfortable I felt, I had to put a hard stop to my life as I knew it and start all over again. I knew there would be no easy way to do it, and it just had to be done. Tony Robbins says change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater as the pain of change. This was a truth for me, because from the outside, what seemed quite an ordinary and happy life, on the inside, I knew was no longer in alignment with me. I had to stop fooling myself and recognize that I was the only one in control of my life. And as much as I could blame others for not moving or changing to my expectations, I had to become the driver of my own destiny. I realized that over the years, I had changed so much from the inside out that the life I had built no longer made sense. I was not willing to sacrifice anymore, and I was not willing to stay quiet and accept our reality for what it was. I was no longer willing to put up with a life in which I only saw 50% of the truth. And that's just a small insight of what was really going on behind the scenes, because I'm not able to share the full details or the ins and outs. I also realized that not everyone around me had grown along with me, but had instead grown apart with me. Again, expecting someone to change just because you change is like expecting the rest of the world to move in the same direction as you. You have to realize that you have your own mission to follow and a purpose to fulfill, and not everyone is meant to be part of the next chapter of your journey. I knew that if I wanted to live a life that was honest to myself and aligned with my values and my purpose, I had to make a hard decision to cut my losses and make a leap. After all, I knew I did not come this far only to accept a mediocre life. Blocking our own blessings. When you live in misalignment, nothing seems to be moving forward, which was the case for me. Nothing I wished for, worked for, or tried to manifest was moving forward. It didn't matter if I wrote my goals in a diary, put it on a vision board, made concrete plans, or worked 24/7 for what I wanted. Nothing was working out. Until that point in my life, I worked really hard, probably harder than most people in regular careers. Having chosen to follow entrepreneurship route and failing a few of my initial business ideas, I had to work twice as hard to prove a point and make it work. I did not have guaranteed salary since the age of 21, so everything I earned resulted from my own work and shared commitment. Despite putting in endless hours in my business and investing in growing it, nothing seemed to work. I had built a huge online following, recognized brand, respectful brand, and helped thousands of people along the way, yet I couldn't make it work financially for myself. as if something was blocking my success. And I was giving away all my energy and getting nothing in return. So what do you do? I worked on myself, worked on my skills, on my mindset, and my limiting beliefs, which I thought was the core root of it all. I hired help, I built a team, I worked with coaches, I invested in all the programs you can think of. Yet, I was still just breaking even, meaning making just enough to cover the cost of running all. And to tell you the truth, I was getting burnt out and fed up and nearly at the brink of giving up. The fact was, it was not like I did not know what I was doing. I was helping many others. And my advice would lead them to start and build successful business. I had a business degree, strong business and work ethics, and the right idea. And I was getting the attention of my audience. Sorry about that. Please do mute your microphones as you come in. So I had a strong work ethics and a business degree and the right idea and getting attention from my audience. But time and time again, it would fall short of sustaining me beyond the business. After I had tried everything, I honestly didn't know what was getting in my way anymore. I had to put it down to money mindset and limiting beliefs. So I did deep hypnosis and inner healing to put my limiting beliefs, to heal my past limiting beliefs, but it was still a struggle. Whilst I was with my partner, I did not have to worry about paying the bills at home. I felt safe being taken care of whilst I built my business. I could solely focus on my work and my business. He was supportive of my dreams and always encouraged me to work hard. We always shared work ethics of striving for ambitious and success in life. So it was comfortable and a safe place to be, knowing I did not have to think about how to survive constantly. And living in London was not an easy for a single person. Perhaps it was a blessing and a curse because financial comfort was safe, but it did not allow me to succeed independently and take control of my own life. No matter what I did, nothing was moving forward in my business. Every launch, every event, and every new product would make enough to pay for itself and the team. And I was getting very frustrated and exhausted to the point where I questioned everything. Should I even carry on? I nearly gave up many times, but something kept saying, don't give up on it just yet. Something better will come out of this. Again, in that moment of crossroads, I realized I was blocking my own blessings. By staying in my situation, I was not allowing a new flow of abundance and blessings to come into my life. Because I had a fear of letting go of the comfort of my home, security, the support system. I was living in fear of, instead of faith. I was living in fear instead of faith and trust. Without knowing for sure, I knew deep down in my gut that I had to let go of everything and surrender to the unknown. I knew that I would not be able to fly until I was willing to let go of the solid ground beneath my feet. So I did. I let go of everything holding my life up in my comfort zone. And I told myself, no matter what, I got this. I will figure it out. And if not, somehow the universe will catch me or show me the way forward. And I share all of this with you today and in this chapter because I know how many women are feeling stuck in their situations, in their marriages, in their homes, in abusive or controlling, manipulating, deceitful relationships, and not taking a leap because they believe that their financial success or their current financial situation is the roadblock for them taking a leap. That's one of the reasons why I put the honest truth behind it all, so somebody else can recognize that I didn't have it all figured out. But the truth was, by staying in that place where I was, supposedly the comfort zone, supposedly the safe home that I had, was truthfully the block to my blessings. That was energetically the reason why I was not moving forward and attracting the right things, because really, I wasn't in alignment, because that one part of my life wasn't in full alignment where I should have been. And that is one of the reasons why I put this part in the chapter, because my audience need to know the truth. And they need to know that if you want to be an empowered woman and walk away from a toxic environment, you just have to have this blind faith. It may not all make sense right now, but you gotta have that faith. And that's all I was banking on at that time, blind faith. So I know many women are stuck in toxic environments because of financial security and fear, but this experience taught me that we as women are strong and capable enough to figure it all out on our own. When times are tough, we are capable of becoming even stronger to fight for what it's worth. Don't get me wrong, it was not easy. And at times I wondered, how am I going to make it? But the more I leaned into faith and surrender, the more the universe rewarded me. It rewarded me for every bit of patience and trust I had. Whenever I thought I reached the end of the road, the universe would magically open the path forward. So I kept walking in faith. Finding my soul's purpose. Within days of starting a new chapter in my life, I moved to Spain to live with my mom, who had retired 6 months prior. I wanted to be as far away from it all as possible. I needed not only a new chapter in my life, I needed to build a whole new life for myself. I had to start from scratch. I had to figure out who I was and what I wanted and how I would like to build my life forward. It was both scary and exciting new beginning. So as many of you would know, that when you start a new life after walking out of a long relationship, it's like you were born, but you also feel lost because you have to figure out again who you are. It took me a few months to find my feet and a place where I felt safe to be myself. And to be honest, I was a hot mess for a few months while navigating the heartbreak, the quest for freedom, and adjusting to a new me. I struggled to work, I struggled to stay focused or feel like myself. To be honest, I mainly caused chaos and self-sabotage for a few months. My ex would be constantly being in touch with me and making it all worse for me. I fell out with my family. I ran away from anyone who tried to control me. I had to escape, but mainly from myself. So I sought my own place to call home for the first place I found, I took it. It was a little bit of by chance. It was a blessing in disguise that a friend of mine was a real estate owner, and she's a real estate agent, and she found me a place right by the beach. And as soon as I walked into this apartment, I was like, this is a place where I can breathe and start my new life. So I started to breathe and relax when I made a leap to move into my own little rented apartment by the beach. I remember walking into this cute holiday-like apartment decorated with gorgeous beach house decor touches that reminded me that I have finally escaped my monotonous life in London. And it was so beautiful. You could feel the breeze running through this house, all the beach decorations. And the lady who lived there before, she had really put in a lot of love into making this place so beautiful. So lovely seashells, crystals, coastal pictures on the walls, empty secret message bottles with fairy lights in it, and other subtle details that made it like a true magical escape I needed after my heartbreak. My balcony overlooked the seafront, and the sun would shine throughout the day on the first balcony and then the back balcony in the afternoon, where I spent most of my days. And the sound of the ocean mixed with seashell decorations that made a beautiful sound along all day long reminded me where I was. I soothed my soul and readied myself for healing. I remember waking up every morning to birds chirping outside my window and the sun peeking through the curtains, and feeling so grateful to myself for making that decision to leave and start a new life. I would start my day by thanking myself for the decision I made. This is where my new life journey began. As this little beachfront apartment in the winter season when hardly anyone was around, just me, the sunshine, the sound of waves, meditation, books, and my thoughts. Honestly, that is all I needed. So I found myself. For the next few months, it was a bliss. I would have morning runs on the beach, swim in the cold sea in the winter, meditate in the afternoons, and I could finally be present with myself and be in control of my own life. After so many years of being under control, careful watch, constant mind and emotional tampering, this felt like a breath of fresh air. I went through so many situations of manipulation at home, control, when you're getting home, when are you going to do this, how you should live your life, that it just become normal. But I didn't realize what normal was until I'd become free from all of it. So for someone who's highly independent, as I was at the times, and an introverted person, it was necessary for my healing and self-discovery journey for me to be on my own and really rediscover who I was. All I needed was solitude to process all the things that has happened and heal from everything that's gone on before, during and after my breakup. Truthfully, ladies, I didn't know what was the truth or not after I walked out of narcissistic relationship, because they have a way of painting the truth. And when you walk out and realize that perhaps more than 50% it wasn't the truth, you're really confused. You blame yourself and you wonder, what was the truth? What was that life I was living? And until today, I can't tell you what was the truth and what wasn't. So that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to write this chapter as well, because it's hard to say what was the truth and what wasn't. All I can say is what was my truth in it? What was my story? What was my part to play in this whole unfolding and the healing? I'm just grateful for taking that leap at the end of this, at the beginning of this new chapter of my life, because it was that brave moment when I decided to walk out of that relationship and start a new chapter in my life that led me onto a path of true alignment and purpose work that I do today. I mean, one of the reasons why I actually walked out was cameras were set up in my own home. I was not only being watched, but I was also being listened, asked and questioned about what I do at home. There were times that my camera or my computer were turned on and watched what I do, what I speak, who I speak to. Most of my social media and my phone was hacked. And even after, a year after, he still tried to hack me. There were many things that I couldn't share in this book that's gone on behind the scenes. And I had to be very, very subtle in the way I presented my story, because again, some of those things will probably come back to him and I'll be haunted. So the version that you have in the book is a very subtle and on the surface story of what truly gone on and the reasons why I walked out. But like I said, the biggest blessing in disguise was when I walked out of this situation and when I really didn't know what was ahead of me. And that feeling of, I'm not just doing it for me. I'm actually doing it so every other woman can take an example and say, if you could do it, if you could start a new chapter, I can too. Right? He made sure that I didn't have too much security. He took my car away. Like, he didn't make it easy on me or make it any easier for me to start a new life. I had to make sure I had it all figured out by myself. But here is the thing, ladies. What I realized that we as women are so strong, and when there is another person who isn't empowering you and they're here to tear you down, you can empower yourself. And it takes the inner strength and it takes a soul searching. But for me, staying in that place was becoming more painful, because the life I was living on a show, not necessarily on a show, but all the things that I was teaching other women, all my beliefs of freedom, of women empowerment, of having a voice, of having the strength and being in control of our own lives, these were my values. These were what was underpinned me as a person. And the fact that I was accepting my reality not for what it aligns with my values was blocking every blessing in my life. And that day when I said that I walked into my bedroom and it seemed like it was all perfect, my home was just being clean, it was just amazing, calm feeling inside of me, I was racing. I was asking myself, Ray, if you can tell other women how to live their lives, you have to be the example of how you're going to live your life. You have to call your own BS out and tell yourself you got to make a leap. And I know it's not easy, and I know what's yet to come. But the truth is, if you want to be honest to yourself, to your purpose, to your life, to your alignment, and to other people, you have to be honest with yourself. And the minute you become honest with yourself, that's when you can become honest with other people. And when I started this healing journey behind the scenes, I had to become unashamed, right? Heal myself and become unapologetic. People thought I was crazy. Right? He actually made me out crazy to my own family, to the point where they questioned my sanity. But I was becoming so unapologetic and so unafraid and so unchained from all the judgment or fear. I just got to the complete other side of worrying about who will say anything. And when I got to the other side, that was true empowerment, because I no longer feared anything. And when you are no longer afraid to be who you are meant to be, when you're no longer afraid to speak your truth, when you're no longer ashamed of your story, of what happened to you, whatever pain that you have had to go through, that is the moment of empowerment. Because no matter what you say, like, no matter what happened in your life, if you're willing to accept the truth, if you're willing to speak your truth, nobody else can throw stones at you or castricize you for anything that's ever happened in your life, because you speak your truth, because you have your truth and you have accepted not only yourself, but your truth and your story for what it is. So no one can throw stones at you. And that is the moment of empowerment. And that was, for me, moment of freedom. And that is when I started to truly connect with women on a deeper level, to understand their pains, to recognize my purpose of why I do what I do. That became meaningful. My business became much more successful. And even in my own relationships, I become much more successful, not only romantic, but other relationships and friendships. And I am not afraid to call BS out. I'm not afraid to call out lies or deceit. Because if I could stand up to my partner in that respect, I could stand up to anyone. If I could stand up to my own BS, I could stand up to anyone. And that is the moment of empowerment, when we stop accepting the lies and deceits that people feed to us and say, you know what? I deserve better. I am worth so much more than that. So I hope that's what you get to take away. I didn't finish reading my story, but this is something for you ladies to grab in a book. And the story has a happy ending. And to not give you away the spoiler, I did find a true love in my life, who has been in my life for more than 15 years prior. And I got reconnected with him, and truthfully, I felt like I was running away from him for all those years. And I'm so blessed, because he actually just arrived today, and I still live in Spain and he lives in London, and I refuse to go back to London. And we're expecting a little baby, for those who may not know. So it's just been a beautiful 360-degree turnaround. And it feels like this was just so recent, just 2 years ago, right? And I'm in a completely different place in my life. But like what I read in the chapter, it was true. When I was driving away and I could see all my belongings in the rear view, and I was starting this new chapter, honestly, I said it to myself and I said it to my friend, and I said, I'm not just doing this for me. I want this to be a significant moment in my life, that even though I have this fear, but this release and this freedom, I'm walking out for me, but I'm also walking out for all the other women who are afraid to make a leap. And I hope that this story is going to empower somebody else to make that leap that is significant in their lives, and maybe saves their life, maybe helps them to get back on the right path in their life, to live their purpose, to be empowered, and hopefully to speak their own truth. So I hope you enjoyed. This was chapter 1, and we've got 7 more amazing chapters in the book. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those who are on camera today, and whoever dropped in, and whoever will be watching this on replay. I'm really grateful. I did get a bit emotional, and I still get emotional when I read this chapter. And, if you ever hear me speak, there are other parts of the story that, I do share either in my life or this particular story as well in different ways. But I'm very proud that it has made into the book as a chapter. So thank you. I'd love to hear from my co-authors.
That was just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I do have a question though, what was it, or was there not one thing that made you pick that day to just decide to go for it, and just to put everything in the car and just get in the car and go? What was it that made you do that when you did it?
It was really interesting because a month before I actually told my partner, because we had a stepdaughter who I've raised for a year before, and she had her own story. And I told my partner, I said, in 1 month time, I'm walking out because I can no longer accept this life for us. I'm not willing to live like this anymore. And you have to make arrangements. So he made arrangements, and our stepdaughter's mom was living with us for 2 weeks prior. And I was working on a very big event with Mr. Les Brown. I was working on a big showcase event. We had about 25 speakers. And after the event, we were at home having drinks with actually his ex. and he texted me like the next day or in the evening, kind of questioning, what am I doing? And then he started to say I'm lying because he could hear voices. I didn't tell him what we were doing. And I said, well, why are you tapping in when I'm at home? I'm at home. I'm actually looking after your daughter and accepting your ex being in our house. I'm going through all of that, and you make me out as, after my successful event, I think I'm allowed to celebrate, right, and not be controlled and watched. And that really quite infuriated me, that I'm so empowered in my work and everything I do, and I have a big control of my life. But at home, he tries to control me. And for me, that just continuously drove me crazy, that I can't allow somebody else to control my life.
Amazing. Wow. Well, all I can say is thank goodness you did do it.
It was the breaking point. That was like the breaking point.
I was just intrigued because obviously I've read through the story, and my thought was, whilst I was reading it, I wonder what made her decide why then. But now I absolutely get it. Thank you so much for that.
It's interesting because I was doing this event, and I was like, my book, I had a book that was just launched around that time as well, my first chapter in the collective book. Everything on the outside seemed so perfect, right? And I had it all under control in my life. Little did anybody know that I had this lady living in my house, walking around with undies and having alcohol problems, right? And I'm here trying to manage my fall apart of my relationship, the start of my new life, making sure that our little girl, or my stepdaughter, was emotionally okay through all of this, my own transition, my own career. And I'm just saying, I have to walk out for what's best for me. And it was planned exit, but that day was not necessarily planned. It was just the next day after I completed my project, and I felt complete. And I had to make a leap for myself at that point. So yeah, thank you for asking that. Angelique.
I'm just so proud of you. I'm just so proud of you, Raimonda. You've come a very long way, and I resonated with, bits of your story too. And it's hard. We've all gone through, horrible relationships. Well, some, most of us, I guess, at least one. And I know how hard it is to take that leap of faith, as you say, and to tap into that inner strength to find the courage to get up and leave, and with so much uncertainty ahead of you. And that takes so much. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so glad that you chose to share this story in your book and, share it with us because, I know some of the ladies here are resonating with your story as well. And, we have to hear these stories. And I know that's the main message behind why you chose to write this book and get the women behind you to share their stories, because it's empowering. We have to hear these things, and we have to, sometimes it just takes, there was a few sentences that you said, it's like, wow, it kind of took me back to that time when I was stuck in a difficult relationship myself, and that could be so powerful for someone else that's going through the same thing. And so thank you for sharing it. I'm so glad that you put that story in the book. And again, I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've loved having all of you, and from behind the scenes as you watch this book being born, every author have had their own roadblocks, their doubts and fears of putting their stories out. And as I've said halfway through the chapter, that it was hard to put everything into this chapter as I wanted to, the full story, the full truth, because it's hard, because it's going to live, these words will live forever in this book. And you have to be careful when you speak about other people. So I could only share this part of my story, but I don't mind expanding on it in a private environment like this. But I also have to be conscious of some things. Thanks, Karen. If anybody has any questions, please let us know. As it just started, it's actually just about to end. Thanks, Karen. We're nearing the end. Yeah. Thank you, everyone who joined. For others who will be watching this on replay, and of course, every Tuesday at the same time, please join us for other book chapter readings. If you haven't already, I encourage you to grab the copy of the book. And if you have already bought the book, I encourage you to write a review. That would be really, really amazing to see the reviews of the book on Amazon or on any other channel where you bought it from, just so other women can see what this book is about. And I love reading reviews of other books and certainly of our own. So I'm super grateful for you doing that. And I hope you get to, thank you. Come back next week. I will make sure to email this out as a replay to everyone. But do make sure you come back next Tuesday as well to meet other authors. So thank you. I will stop the recording here. Appreciate you all being here, and we look forward to seeing you next week.